think, for the most part, Peter Jackson succeeded.
Yeah, so good old Star Wars. Again, and I hope nobody like gets super upset with my answer. And I mean, I know somebody out there is gonna be like,
people are gonna get more upset with my answer because I went Gundam. And guys, that's not entirely untrue. In order to avoid this war, I love Gundam, and since technically Gundam is the Japanese equivalent of Star Trek, I think it counts.
Again, Star Trek wasn't ever really a thing in my family. It's just something more that I've been acquainted with since like my senior year of high school. So it's just Star Wars for me. So
and for me, like when I was growing up, Next Generation was hot, and so at that point, like every Sunday night, my siblings and I think it was just me, everybody but me and my mom got together to watch the latest Next Generation episode.
Wow.
So that's just what happened. And it, like, I credit it to the fact I just was too young to be able to appreciate them. Because I've watched the series now and love them. I really do. Except the original series. I can't get into that one for some weird reason.
I've heard really good things about Next Generation. It's just not something that I've really given myself time or given the show its proper time to actually enjoy and watch. So
no, and I totally agree on that. Like I had to go and watch it on my own time on Netflix to be able to appreciate Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, Voyager, and later Enterprise. But I can appreciate why my dad loved them. Absolutely loved them. So the next one is going to be another obvious one. DC or Marvel? You have to pick one.
Marvel.
That's obvious. Like we've said it numerous times, even though I already have a feeling people are going to be like, but Raging Bad Boner!
Yeah, that was the first thing that came to my mind, too. I understand people. Ben Affleck gave me a boner. I'm pretty sure he made a lot of women wet.
I can technically say he gave you a boner as Daredevil first. So there you go. No, okay.
That's a good point. It's
because he was Daredevil first.
I mean, I'm just saying if the opportunity arose and I just happened to be like in a secluded elevator trapped with Ben Affleck, things probably would happen. I'm just saying.
Or more along the lines of you'd let things happen.
Oh yeah, a lot of times I don't let things like that happen because it's like, okay, I'm not like looking immediately for this. But I mean, if the opportunity presented itself and I know that I was probably never going to see Ben Affleck again, I'll just be
like, exactly.
I would totally seduce the hell out of that man.
And you know what? I have a feeling Ben would at least be flattered by it, at the bare minimum. I don't know how devoted he is to Jen Garner. I'm assuming he's very devoted to her because he has a kid with her. But at that point, he'd be like, "Well, I'm at least very flattered," because how many people right now absolutely hate me?
I would definitely ask though to touch his rippling pectoral region though. I'd be like, "Well, I want to at least touch something. So if it's not going to be your dick, it's going to be something else." And yes, I'm over 18.
Okay, all right. Well, if anybody actually had a worry on that, which you didn't need to have that worry, we've now clarified it.
Well, I mean, if anybody if I get a chance to participate in the meetup at Gaming Con this weekend,
yeah,
I'm pretty sure people are gonna be like, "You're not 18." It's like, no, I'm 25. I've I even stated it in my birthday Q&A. I was like, I am 25. I know, by now everybody has seen how I look like.
Why I actually say that I'm just old? It's just like, so many people actually do ask that of you on YouTube. It's like, how old are you again?
Wait, they ask you that?
Oh yeah, I get that occasionally.
Oh, okay.
On Geek News and all that, because I keep on saying that I'm the old fart of the podcast. And it's like, well, how old are you? Because, I mean, I love everything you're trying to say. And I've said my age once, they're like, oh yeah, you're old.
Well, you even
thanks, dude.
Well, you even shared your age in a recording that we had last week, in fact. So,
did I?
Yeah, because I was going off about.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, and I had asked you, and then you told me, and I didn't believe you entirely.
I'm an old fart. I'm an old fart. So let's see. So we covered Marvel versus DC.
Yeah, I like Marvel guys. Like, yeah, again, raging bat boner, but I mean, I also have a raging American boner for Chris Evans. I found out that he has a younger brother who is 10 times hotter than he is.
I don't know necessarily if I agree on that.
Well, that's okay, but
then
I
again,
mean,
like, I don't judge it that way. I mean, I literally love his acting as Captain America.
yeah,
So at that point, I really don't think, like, if you introduced his brother, I still don't think Chris could do any wrong. I mean, especially since I've made the audacious claims in the past, especially during when me and Alex reviewed Civil War, and I even said it during Winter Soldier, that Captain America proved themselves superior to DC because Captain America is superior to Man of Steel, and Civil War is superior to Batman v Superman.
oh, by all means.
And I stand by it. I don't think I meant wrong. I'm not going to apologize for it. I, to this day, think that Civil War did better the whole versus concept than Batman v Superman, and that's all that movie had going for it. At the, I mean,
Well,
if you
that's
look at it.
well, I mean, that's what the title was, Batman versus Superman, and I feel like we got very little of that the entire time. And then you get Civil War, and it was just a perfect amount of everything.
Well, it's one of those things where, to this day, I still hear about friends or my nieces admitted that they did this. I have 3 little nieces, and they admitted they cried, they bawled when Captain America and Iron Man go at it, because you never wanted to see that day happen.
It is a very emotional moment, especially when they were
And it's supposed to be.
You know, especially at that very end there when it was just the two of them and Bucky just going at it, and it's like, holy crap, this is actually happening.
Yep.
Because you get that brief moment, of, oh, maybe things could, like, I mean, they're strained, but maybe things could work out in the end, but they just don't.
They don't, and they're not going to.
And it was just like, whoa, this is actually happening.
But again, I mean, I can't say it enough. They did it the way that a scene like that needed to be done.
It was perfect.
Unlike Batman v Superman, which is just like, you mention their mother's name and all of a sudden every wrongdoing is forgiven, you know? Which is basically what happened. Like, I hate to quote the nostalgia critic, but it's correct, you know? Your mother's name is Martha. This completely erases all hatred. That's what happened. Like, all of a sudden, these bitter, hateful enemies are all of a sudden allies.
Especially like after everything that Lux did to bring them to that point, all of a sudden it was just one name changes everything, and it's like, hey, this is just stupid.
Which even non-DC fans went, what the crap? Oh no, not this scene.
Oh my gosh. What? I don't know what to expect.
Dante, you have once again won the Leon S. Kennedy Award for fucking physics right up its ass by riding a motorcycle literally up the tower.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, it's gonna get better, Brinton. It's gonna get better. Oh no, the Leaning Tower of Pisa is falling apart. It's okay, we're still effing physics right up its a-hole.
Wait, what the hell?
Oh, and look, monsters. It's okay, we have a motorcycle. It's a weapon, right?
Oh my gosh, this reminds me so much of freaking John and Bayonetta.
Dude, I swear, like, when they did this whole concept, they were thinking of Bayonetta at that time, because this is just a Bayonetta moment, as far as I'm concerned.
This is
something Bayonetta
moment.
should do at some point or another.
I know. I would love for there to be a Bayonetta 3. I think that would be amazing.
It would, yes.
I'm sure it would be put on the new Nintendo console, though, which I'm not complaining.
Yeah, I'm not against it.
But I mean,
Nintendo's earned it.
Well, yeah, but I mean, at this point, I'm not entirely sure what to expect out of the new console yet, and we won't.
Hey, none of us are.
And we won't until who knows when.
Or the now announced an MH.
Oh yeah, the new handheld console.
Yes.
And I was just like, okay, well, they're obviously not going to talk about that in a couple of weeks. So.
No, they're not, and they should. They absolutely should.
Especially, especially after announcing it. It's like, okay, you guys, it makes me
Either
glad.
you're willing to talk or we're done.
It just makes me glad that I'm returning back to things that are, returning back to Sony. It makes me feel good.
Yeah.
Because again, I just don't feel like I have anything to look forward to this winter in terms of Nintendo. But at least with like the PS4, I know that I have Final Fantasy 15, Rise of the Tomb Raider.
Yep.
So I'm not like, I don't feel like devastated in terms of gaming.
No.
Even though I know that when the next semester for school starts, I am going to be busier than hell.
But see, here's one of those things that I would actually tell you that you can look forward to, is conveniently school, or I'm not sure if USU runs off of the same deal that Slick does, but Slick would always be done by the beginning of December. Like the first week of December would be finals.
Yeah.
And so at that point, you have 3 to 4 weeks at least to be able to catch up on all of these awesome games.
Yeah, the only unfortunate thing for me is that my sister's giving birth.
That's true. Yeah.
So, I mean, I'll have time, but at the same time, I'm like eagerly awaiting that call. Drive up to Logan, Brinton. She's gonna pop it out.
Yeah, but at the same time, also, I think you'll still have time, because just speaking from my experience, the first couple of months, aside from mandatory babysitters and things like that, a lot of the time, parents just like to take that and make it bonding time, like getting used to parenthood.
That's a good point.
That's what we did. Like, I was in classes at the time, and yes, my mother-in-law did watch Aria from time to time, but at the same time, I took whatever spare time I had on a given day, and I spent it with Aria. I still do. So, at that point, that's gonna happen. It's like, you'll get called in to be a babysitter, but if they can work things out, then it's going to be like 2-3 months later when they feel comfortable with Arya and they can actually kind of guide you along the lines.
Well, that'd be a great thing.
Doesn't mean you can't spoil them though.
Oh no, I'll definitely spoil them. I mentioned, I was in California this past weekend, and I was talking to my grandma, and I was like, and she lives alone. She lives alone in a relatively big house. I mean, she had 10 kids. So I was telling her, if you would like, I would love to move in with you just to, keep you company so you don't feel alone. Because my Aunt Heather moved out at the start of this year. And in fact, I actually was planning on moving to California this summer because my lease was coming up.
Yeah.
But my my dad was like, no, you're not gonna do that. That's not happening. So I've re-signed my lease, and that starts up again next week for like another 13 months. So I decided to bring it up with my grandma, and I just essentially told her that there's not like a whole lot going for me here in Utah anymore.
Well, now there is. There's Geek News Reviews and Opinions, man.
Well,
no, I'm kidding.
Well, I mean, yes, that's true, and it's not like I can't be on the show. I just have to like remember. Oh yeah, they start at this time, so that means I have to be on the internet this time.
Be on
Pacific time. Yeah. So I mean, it's still super easy for me to be a part of the show and everything.
Yeah.
I've been telling people, being 25 and single in the state of Utah, you're either getting married or you're out living your life and having adventures. And I know, and people who I went to high school with, who are my age, they're either married or they don't even live in Utah anymore. And so I'm just like, you know what? Most of my friends are married. I don't really fit into the gay community here. I'm not a practicing Mormon anymore. I'd rather move back home to California, just kind of like get my roots resettled back to where I was born. I have friends who live in the area.
Yeah.
I have family, so it's not like I'm going there cold turkey. Like I have support, and there are people there who are already who have already told me, oh, I would line you up with a job if you moved down here. So I have like a great support system, but and so I mean, for some strange reason, my dad is just like super against it. And I'm just like sitting there thinking to myself, well, I was just like, at 20, I was just like, Dad, at 25, you weren't like, because he's from Italy. And so it's like, Dad, at 25, you weren't even living in your home country. So why won't you even let me like move out of the state? Like, what is the big deal? It's not even your choice to make. I'm a freaking adult. If I want to up and leave and go move to California with my grandmother, I'm going to up and leave and go move to California with my grandmother.
Yeah, there's not really a whole lot they can do about it, but speaking as a parent, you will try. You will at least do or do not. There is no try on the matter.
I don't know. My dad was just like super patronizing to me this like past trip, which was so weird to me because my dad and I don't have that type of relationship to even start with. So it's so like I couldn't even like say anything to him because he was just being like so completely belligerently rude. So I just had to take it, and it annoyed me so damn much.
Well, I would actually dare say we all have that kind of relationship, at least with one parent. For me, it was probably my mom. Me and my mom didn't get along on a lot of things. So
I don't know.
But it's not like I can't understand the matter.
So anyway, it's not like I'm moving there anytime soon because, like I said, my lease, I did resign a lease that begins next week. So if I were to move to California, it wouldn't be until like July 2017.
And before I start getting the messages, like I said, this is not going to stop him from being part of Geek News. I mean, for crying out loud.
Yeah, like again, you guys, nothing's set in stone until like summer 2017. So please, no messages. It's nothing to fret about because it's not even something I'm gonna talk about again until probably March of next year. So.
Well, if I could actually like stop getting hit by blades, that would be awesome. But since I can't see them coming, it's kind of hard to do that.
What?
Yeah. Ow!
You don't have a blade fetish?
I do not. In fact, I think I have an anti-blade fetish. And by that I mean the Marvel Hero blade. You know, the one that Wesley Snipes played that nobody wants to remember ever did play Blade?
Well, I mean, I don't... I try not to think about it, so yes.
I have no thoughts on the matter, and it's mainly because I've never seen Wesley Snipes do any role. I've never seen a Wesley Snipes movie. Technically I've seen Blade 1, and that's it. So I don't hate the guy, but it's just like, I don't care. And on top of that, again, not Marvel Studios, so don't care.
Right.
So we've done Marvel versus DC. The other one is, so I'm not sure. Somebody actually wanted to know, were you in the Hasbro era or the Pokemon era? And I think what they're meaning is, were you a child that grew up in the 80s and therefore grew up to all of like the Hasbro cartoons? Or were you a child of the 90s? And I think that's probably the case, where you grew up with Pokemon, Digimon, and all of the other variations that came out.
Yeah, I'm a child of the 90s, you guys. I was born in 91. But it doesn't mean that I wasn't exposed to 80s media, because my mother was a huge fan of the 80s. Yeah. I mean, that was her 20s to 80s. So, I mean, I was exposed to it, and I have a great appreciation for the Hasbro cartoons and Hasbro media and just 80s media.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I definitely participated and viewed and was more involved in, like, the 90s media. So, Pokemon, Digimon, and all those variations. That was that's me. I'm a 90s kid.
So yeah, you grew up on like the Fox Kids block and Kids WB,
which doesn't exist anymore.
No,
it's the weird, like when the WB finally like disappeared, I was just like, that is so weird, because I remember those like nostalgia just hits you at that point, and you're just like, wow, Saturday morning cartoons just completely gone.
Well, it's one of those things that I make the joke with my wife on. It's like, because, when you look at this current generation of like cartoons, and I'm not saying that it's all bad, But when, I could say, like, I grew up in the era of freaking Transformers, of Voltron, of G.I. Joe and all that stuff, and then I look at concepts like Adventure Time, and I just go, I really just want to make DVDs of Saturday morning cartoons for my daughter so she can, like, appreciate animation as much as I do.
Yeah.
And for crying out loud, I grew up in the era of, like, I was probably in teenage years at that point, but I grew up in the era of the Disney frickin' afternoon, alright? Where, for crying out loud, we had DuckTales, we had Chip and Dale, we had Tailspin.
Oh my gosh, I loved those TV shows.
It's like, and then I look at, again, I get that people appreciate SpongeBob and Adventure Time and all that, but to me, they don't ever measure up. And it's simply because, like, I can remember these subtle stories being told throughout all of these series that I've never seen happen in, say, like, Adventure Time. If anything, I would say this current era of cartoons, probably like Korra and Avatar would be that. But I would like to see, like, most cartoons actually take this kind of task on, and most of them really just don't.
No, they really don't. Like, my first exposure to Adventure Time was actually in Italian. Mm-hmm. It was just on at a member's house that we were visiting, and they were in, like, the kitchen grabbing, like, snacks and something for us to drink.
Yep.
And I remember just sitting there, and of course, like, everything's been translated, so I'm sitting there and I'm like, what the hell is this? And then I came back, and I don't think I ever watched the show in English, but I was just like, this is ridiculous.
Because, I mean, Adventure Time, I literally looked at that and went, that literally looks like something I would draw. That's not awesome to me. That's like, and I know people are going to complain, well, I mean, you like other series that have had kind of crappy animation as far as other people are concerned. Yeah, that might be true, but, for as much as people, like, laud Steven Universe and Adventure Time to me, I don't see it compared to you guys.
Personally, for me, Steven Universe, Amazing World of Gumball, mm-hmm. like, all these shows that, like, my ex adored watching, so I watched it with him.
Yeah.
And, like, one of his best friends, whose name is now slipping my mind, but he and she just, like, loved these shows, and I sat there and I was like, I'm a little creeped out by these shows, and
I don't get it, yeah.
and little children are watching these, like, Steven Universe especially. That show just creeped me out.
Which is funny, because we actually did get a question on, like, your thoughts on Steven Universe.
It's a creepy show.
Well, I know why they wanted to bring it up, because of the, and I don't mean to go down this road, but I knew exactly why this question got asked, was because some of the overtones of the series, where it kind of veers into the kind of the gay viewpoint kind of thing.
Oh, I haven't watched it enough to even recognize that.
Well, and frankly, I've seen some of that stuff, and yes, it's awesome as far as I'm concerned, but again, it's one of those things where the story is open-ended in some cases. I haven't seen a whole lot of Steven Universe, but one of the other ones that gets brought up is Korra, where Korra's ending in particular, and it's like, again, Korra's ending leaves a lot to interpretation. They don't have to be in a relationship. They could just be besties and be walking into the world of the unknown.
Right.
And I would have been okay with that. But I do know that people actually want it as, like, more specifically, like, would you recommend Steven Universe to Drac? And I'm like, no, I don't think you. Now that I've heard this, no, I don't think you would.
No, like, this is how I explain what I call my creepy threshold. Mm-hmm. I can handle creepy pretty well, because at times I myself can be kind of creepy. And so when something becomes too creepy for me, I call it my creepy threshold. And when it passes that threshold, I personally feel super uncomfortable and super just, like, kind of bothered. And so Steven Universe did that for me, where I was watching an episode and I don't even remember entirely what had happened, but it passed over that threshold for me, and I just sat there and I just felt very, very uncomfortable and very bothered. And I was just like, yeah. And I thought to myself, children are watching this? Mm-hmm. And I was just like, why can't we go back to, like, DuckTales or, like, old school Pokemon and stuff like that?
Next year we will be, because DuckTales is getting rebooted.
What?
Yeah, you didn't know that? Yeah, we reported it because it got announced, I think, mid 2015 that they were going to do it. And so, like, obviously, I was the guy who was like Mr. Negative, and not for any other reason than I don't want them to screw it up.
Oh yeah,
DuckTales is. I'm not saying it's the easiest property to screw up, but I mean, there's still a possibility, like with anything, that you could screw that.